Do you remember the gentle clink of glass bottles on your front step, just as the sun peeked over the rooftops, before the beeping of microwave ovens and grocery store self-checkouts? There was a simpler sound that started the day, a soft knock at the door and the fresh, chilly feel of a milk bottle waiting outside. This was life in the 1950s, a time when neighbors waved from their porches, bread cost 14 cents, and milk wasn't just a drink, it was an experience. Today, let's go back to those early morning moments and revisit the days when the milkman was a part of the family routine. Hello there, friends, and welcome back to another cozy trip down memory lane. Today, we're opening the front door to a time long before grocery delivery apps or plastic jugs. We're stepping into the golden tie-dye 50s when milk was brought to your doorstep by a smiling man in a white uniform, his truck quietly humming down the street just after dawn. In this episode, we'll explore the world of home milk delivery, how it worked, what made it so special, and why so many of us still smile when we remember those early morning routines. We'll talk about the bottles, the icebox on the porch, the clinking crates, and those trusted local dairies, Sealtest Borden's Meadow Gold. And we'll even recall the taste, the way milk used to feel thicker, colder, creamier. So put on the coffee, settle into your favorite chair, and let's take a gentle stroll through one of the most comforting chapters of our shared past. Back then, the milkman was as familiar as the postman. He came like clockwork early in the morning, usually between 5 and 7 a.m., his delivery truck gliding silently down the neighborhood streets, even in the snow. Many of us can still picture him, a crisp white uniform, black bow tie, and those shiny black shoes that somehow never got dirty. Sometimes he wore a cap with a short brim, sometimes a white coat, but always with that steady, friendly nod if he saw you through the curtains. In cities and small towns alike, he moved from house to house with a rhythm all his own, carrying a wire crate of chilled glass bottles, each filled with fresh milk delivered from the dairy just hours earlier. Some milkmen used insulated trucks. Others packed the milk in big blocks of ice. You'd hear the low hum of the refrigeration unit or the soft scrape of metal against your porch as he placed the bottles into the milk box. And remember that box? It was often made of galvanized steel or painted wood with just enough insulation to keep the milk cold until you got up. Sometimes it was tucked by the door. Other times it sat proudly at the foot of the steps like a silent sentinel of breakfast to come. The sound of those bottles clinking was a part of morning life. That sharp glass against glass ring still lingers in many of our minds. Do you remember what time your milkman came, or how your mother would remind you not to forget the milk before it warmed in the sun? In some places, milk was delivered daily. In others, just 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If you needed to change your order, there was no phone call or app. You simply left a note in the milk box. 2 quarts today, please, often scribbled on the back of an envelope or old receipt. Some dairies even provided magnetic signs or special order cards that you could hang in the box with your selections. Want chocolate milk or buttermilk? Just flip the tab. Of course, back in 1955, a quart of milk cost about 23 cents. That's around $2.50 in today's money, but many of us would gladly pay it again for that taste of yesteryear, and the milk itself rich and creamy with a layer of cream that rose to the top. You'd often need to shake the bottle before pouring, or if you were lucky, you'd spoon off the cream for your morning coffee or cereal. This was more than just a delivery. It was a ritual, a comfort, one small way life felt dependable and secure in an era just recovering from war and stepping into modernity. We'll talk more in the next segment about the bottles themselves and the dairies that filled them, but for now, take a moment to remember the milkman who started your day. Let's talk about those wonderful glass bottles. They weren't just containers, they were part of the whole experience. Tall, heavy, and reusable, they had a satisfying weight to them. Some had metal caps, others had those cardboard discs you had to poke your finger through, and remember how they'd sweat with condensation when you brought them inside on a hot summer morning. Many bottles had embossed logos, names like Sealtest, Borden's, Cloverland, Fairmont, or Meadow Gold. Each had its own design, and the dairies were often local, sometimes just a few miles away. You weren't just buying milk, you were supporting your community. And oh, the cream! Because the milk wasn't homogenized like most of what we get today, the cream would rise to the top naturally. Some families had a small silver spoon just for scooping that top layer into coffee or spreading it on toast. Some would shake the bottle vigorously to mix it up. Others fought over who got the cream first. Do you remember doing that? Did your family mix it or savor it? Many dairies also offered more than just plain milk. You could get buttermilk, chocolate milk, even orange juice or cottage cheese. Some places delivered eggs and butter too, an early form of grocery delivery, really. The bottling process itself was something to behold, modern for its time. In clean, cool facilities, fresh milk was filtered, pasteurized, bottled, capped, and loaded onto trucks sometimes, all in the same morning. It was a local loop, efficient and personal. One dairy that many remember fondly is Borden's, with its iconic mascot, Elsie the cow. She appeared in ads, calendars, and even the 1939 World's Fair. Sealtest was another big name, often partnered with your local A&P or Safeway. But even the smallest hometown dairies had their loyal fans, and many of those old glass bottles are collectibles today. In an age before plastic containers and mega dairies, milk felt more connected to the land and to the people who delivered it. It came from a place you knew down the road, not across the country. Back then, even the packaging was part of the ritual. When you finished a bottle, you rinsed it and set it out for the milkman to pick up. He'd return it to the dairy where it would be sterilized and reused long before we talked about recycling. So simple, yet so elegant. Now let's step back and think about the rhythm of life that revolved around that little milk box. It may seem like a small detail now, but the presence of fresh milk shaped the whole morning. Mothers would rise early, often before the kids, to bring in the bottles. Maybe they'd wipe off the condensation, crack open a new loaf of Wonder Bread, and set the table with a checkered cloth. For kids, it meant cereal time, Cheerios, Wheaties, or maybe cornflakes. You'd open the bottle and hear that little pop of the cap, then watch the milk cascade into your bowl. And if it was Saturday, maybe it was time for pancakes or scrambled eggs, both needing a splash of milk straight from the porch. Do you remember the taste? It was richer, more real somehow. No plastic aftertaste, no watery texture, just wholesome, nourishing goodness. For many housewives of the 1950s, the milk delivery was a small but important connection to the outside world. You might not see many people in a day, especially if you were raising young children at home, but the milkman's reliable visit was a quiet assurance that the world outside was still ticking. Some folks even chatted with their milkman if they were up early enough. A quick "good morning," a shared laugh about the weather. He might know your kids' names or leave an extra quart if you had company. And during holidays, the milkman was sometimes treated like family. A card or a tip at Christmas. Maybe a slice of pie if he came during Thanksgiving week. Of course, kids found their own magic in the milk box. It was a kind of treasure chest. Opening it up felt exciting, especially in winter, when you'd find the milk had frozen just a bit, pushing the cream up through the top, like a mini ice tower. Some of us would even sneak out in pajamas just to peek at the bottles. Do you remember doing that? The milk box became a quiet symbol of reliability, like the daily newspaper or the ticking of the kitchen clock. It anchored the morning even in a decade of change. Because the 1950s weren't all idyllic. There were pressures, economic, social, even political. But that cold quart of milk was one less thing to worry about. One simple thing that was always just there. And in a way, it brought people together. Everyone on the block had milk delivered. Everyone had a box. Everyone knew the routine. That shared experience connected us. Like many parts of life in the 1950s, the milkman began to disappear quietly, almost without us realizing it. By the late 1960s and into the 70s, things were changing fast. Supermarkets were on the rise, bigger, flashier, and open later. Refrigerators became larger and more reliable, and grocery shopping became more of a weekly family event than a daily necessity. Plastic jugs entered the scene, lighter, cheaper, disposable. No more rinsing and returning bottles. No more coordinating deliveries, just grab and go. For many dairies, keeping a fleet of trucks and staff for daily routes became too expensive. One by one, the small-town dairies either closed or were absorbed into larger companies. And by the 1980s, home milk delivery had become a rare sight in most American towns. It wasn't just about convenience, it was about lifestyle. More families had both parents working. Schedules changed. Neighborhoods spread out. And the ritual of the morning milk bottle slowly melted away. Still, even as the practice faded, the memory remained. There's something about that routine that has stuck with us all these years. Maybe it was the comfort of it, or the community it represented. Maybe it was the quiet luxury of having something fresh and wholesome appear on your doorstep like a gift from a friend. Some cities and farms have tried to bring back home delivery in recent years, and for those lucky enough to experience it again, even briefly, there's often a sense of being transported back. Back to when things were, if not easier, at least a bit slower, a bit more personal. Do you remember the last time milk was delivered to your house? Was it the 60s, the early 70s? What do you remember most about when it ended? And so, friends, we close the door on another cherished chapter of the past. The clink of bottles, the chilled glass in your hand, the early morning hum of a delivery truck rolling down quiet streets. These aren't just details, they're pieces of a life we lived together. Moments that stitch the fabric of our childhoods, our communities, our homes. In today's world of digital everything, There's something beautifully grounding about remembering when milk was delivered to your doorstep by someone who knew your name. We may not miss everything about the past, but we do cherish the best parts, the ones that made us feel connected, cared for, and comforted. So now, I'd love to hear from you. What are your memories of the milkman? What brand did your family use? Did you ever sneak a taste of the cream before anyone else got to it? Share your stories in the comments. We read them all, and they help keep these memories alive for generations to come. Thank you for joining me today. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.